Hey folks, my name is SWEGTA, and today we're going to be having a look at the rest of the weapons that did not make it into the final release of GTA 5. So without any further ado, let's get to it. To start this video off, let's take a moment to focus on this pre-release artwork portraying the well-known Crystal Maze scene from the game. Here we can see that Trevor's equipped with both a jerrycan and a lighter, accompanied with a subtle but very sinister look on his face. Now what would you say if I were to tell you that these two items were originally meant to be simultaneously used as one weapon? In the first ever preview of the game found in the Game Informer magazine, it stated that the player had an ability to pour gasoline on the ground and could ignite it by simply dropping a Zippo lighter on the flammable liquid. Unfortunately, this lighter feature was completely cut. Instead, the way the player sets fire to the gas trail in the final version of the game is done by simply shooting at the gas can trail with a firearm. And since the Zippo brand is known as DIPPO in the GTA universe, it's presumed that the lighter was initially called DIPPO lighter. Despite this weapon being cut, its prop can still be spotted in several locations throughout the game, the most common place being the dirty version of Floyd's living room, right here on this table. And it does seem to actually bear a very close resemblance to that of the previously mentioned artwork. You might recognize this Glock from GTA 4. It's the first firearm that you're given throughout the game, handed to you by Little Jacob during the mission Jamaican Heat. Or by playing Max Payne 3, the Glock was seen around there as well. Despite being seen in several GTA 5 artworks, it did not survive development to the final version of the game. If we were to look at some of the PED models like the chemical security guards, black ops, and police officers and many others, we can clearly see that they do actually have a Glock placed in their holsters. However, if you were to provoke any of these guys, then they would simply pull out a different pistol, with an appearance based on the Taurus PT-92 and not the Glock. Also, if you've ever watched the in-game TV show Underbelly of Paradise on CNT, then you can actually spot the Glock making an appearance here. If we were to separate the Glock model from its holster, then we can clearly see that it's a Glock 38. Despite the fact that the model appears to be missing a detailed barrel, its texture is actually complete, which is why it was so easy for Vadim to recreate this pistol in editing software. By thinking logically, it could actually be the real cut in-game model, and that the developers of the game just reused its model for the holster. And since some parts of the gun are not visible, they just decided to cut out the unnecessary parts. Some evidence suggests that the Glock was changed to Taurus during the later stages of development for GTA 5. And as I stated, it can actually be seen in several holsters, meaning that it was modeled after the gun that these pets were initially meant to use. And last, but certainly not least, here's the most solid evidence of them all. This huge Taurus pistol model placed on the wall uses a wall Glock texture instead of a Glock texture as the name would suggest. So we do have a Taurus texture, but let's move on to something really interesting. If we were to dig through the previously mentioned ammunition files, then we can find this very interesting texture with the name Weapon Shapes. If we were to export this interior into a model viewing software, then we can see that these types of shapes were linked to the place where they were displayed in the actual store. The texture really is a true gem, because not only does it prove the old weapons like the P90, the double-barrel shotgun, the minigun, and more weapons that we previously mentioned, but it also features more of these cut weapons models from the game. So, what are we waiting for? Let's have a look at the rest of them. Interestingly enough, at this time the micro SMG seems to have been based off of the IMI Uzi. Basically, this means that this could have been the very same model as the golden SMG from GTA 4's The Ballad of Gay Tony. I'll be covering this in a future video that I'll plan on doing, where I'll be showing you guys that this model was actually reused for the rubber gun weapon. Furthermore, the standard SMG here appears to be modeled after the MP5A2 rather than the MP5A3 as it appears in the final version of the game. It should also be noted that this could very well be the MPK from Max Payne 3. The Combat MG here seems to have been based off a The Ballad of Gay Tony model. Fun fact, its old render can still be found in the game files, which proves my theory. And if you look carefully, then you can see that the old render actually has a different magazine, as well as a shorter barrel, sharing these resemblances with the final model. The MG, however, was taken from Max Payne 3 as well, where it's referred to as RPD. The rest of the weapons were either identical, and if I happen to miss anything, then I'll be sure to cover it in a part 3 of this video, so stay tuned for that if you want to see more. The next thing we'll be having a look at is the cut laser sight attachment that was originally set to appear in the game. One of them could be seen in the first GTA 5 trailer with Michael robbing the jewelry store. Now if you look carefully, then you can see something that resembles a laser sight attached to Michael's assault rifle. And it looks a lot like the PEQ-15 from real life. It's pretty obvious that this is not a flashlight, as another crew member can be seen with a flashlight attached to his weapon, which looks exactly the same as it does in the final version of the game. Now it should be noted that there is an unused Social Club render of a laser sight found for the grenade launcher in the game files. Now you might say, hey, that's a flashlight, right? Well, no, that's because the flashlight looks like this on this particular weapon. And if we were to try and compare this to its appearance in the first trailer, then it's very much possible that every single weapon throughout the game had its own unique laser sight attachment. Second of all, a user by the name WildBrick142 found some goodies in tunables. So, let's talk about them. WildBrick's discoveries prove that the laser sight attachment was meant to be used for both assault rifles and pistols. Moreover, according to these tunables, there was yet another interesting attachment with a code name of Flash Laser. It appears to have been used both by pistols and assault rifles. In real life, it should look something like this. Interestingly enough, if you were to import any weapon model to 3ds Max, then the part where a gun could hold a flashlight uses a flash laser dummy. So yeah, you heard that right. The name of this dummy still mentions a laser, which proves that both of these attachments were placed at the same place. Judging by the previously mentioned tunables, you had three options. You could either buy a flashlight, a laser sight, or even a third attachment with both of these things already applied. Now unfortunately, the tunables don't mention a laser sight attachment for the grenade launcher, which we did see earlier in an unused Social Club render. So yeah, since the previously mentioned dummy has both laser and flashlight names on it, it's difficult to guess which weapon was going to have either a laser sight or a flashlight, or possibly even both. So why am I asking this question? Well, the sniper rifle, the heavy sniper, the MG, the combat MG, and the minigun all still have this dummy used on their models. What is even more strange is that not a single weapon from this list uses a flashlight in the final game. Apart from the minigun, this dummy is placed perfectly on all of these weapon models. For some reason, the dummy is buried somewhere deeply in the minigun, so I assume that it was simply placed there as a temporary solution, which was later forgotten during development. Moreover, it's assumed that you could actually enable and disable this feature whenever you wanted, just like the flashlight, since you can't see the trail from it in the previously mentioned trailer. And last of all, my guess is that you were originally supposed to be able to purchase one of these from the ammunition stores. Sadly, it remains unknown how this weapon upgrade would play out in-game, or if it will ever make a return in a future DLC update. But before we move on, let's have a quick look at these two screenshots. As you can tell, it's possible that SWAT members would attach these laser sights to their carbine rifles if the player was packing heat. It's also possible that SWAT members would only use this feature when firing at the player from Maverick helicopters, more specifically to increase their accuracy when opening fire. My assumption here is that the laser sight system was probably taken from the Max Payne 3 game as well, but would later get cut for reasons unknown. If we were to take these artworks seriously, then it would point us to the possibly cut M1911A1 pistol seen equipped in Michael's and Trevor's hands on these artworks. Now it should be noted that the M1911 pistol was actually featured in Max Payne 3, meaning that it could have simply been reused from that game and later cut during the later stages of development. On the other hand, it might be a heavy pistol which was later redesigned to look like the Enterprise Wide Body 1911, which is a modification of the M1911 pistol. By the way, it appears that the weapon model used for the specific underbelly of Paradise Fragment shows us the old GTA 5 arsenal, so let's have a quick look at this, shall we? It seems that the game had an additional P226 pistol, though unfortunately this really is the only evidence to suggesting that that was really the case. Moreover, the knife here appears to be the same as the GTA 4 model. Here, take a quick look at the sawtooth blade and you'll see what I mean. The RPG rocket appears to be the same aside from its texture, which was a little bit cleaner and nicer, unlike how it appears in the final version of GTA 5. The hand grenade lost its yellow stripes and received a few tweaks in the texture in comparison with the Social Club render. Another thing that is worth pointing out that some of you might have missed is that the grenade in the screenshot has the name M26A1, a name which would eventually be changed to M61 in the Social Club render. Now why did I mention the Social Club render? Well, that's because the past gen model looks like this, kind of similar to its render, while the enhanced model, which now reads M69, looks a little bit different from both of these grenades. Sadly, it remains unknown why the model was changed in such a manner. The tear gas grenade had more text on it, although I doubt we will ever be able to properly read it. Interestingly enough, according to the Social Club render, it was modeled after the M18 smoke grenade, and according to the color scheme, along with the word red on its side, the tear gas was actually set to be colored in red, rather than gray, like in the final version of the game. The text would eventually end up being changed to non-existent tear gas 79, but still having a red color on the top. What if the developers considered having the player be able to choose the color of the smoke? I'm not sure, but they could have probably done something similar to changing the parachute smoke trail color, which you can freely choose in the ammunition stores. That's all we got in store for now. Make sure to like and subscribe for more, and make sure to share your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. I do a lot of videos similar to Vadim M when it comes to Bully, so if you enjoyed that game, then why not check out my channel? A link to it can be found down below and on screen. Anyway, that's it for this video, you folks. As always, stay classy. Yeah!